He sat in the gloom of his unlit workshop, looking out towards the house that he'd built for Alice and him to spend their lives in together. He cradled his shotgun in his arms. Normally it was locked in a secure cabinet, but now it helped to feed the fantasies that were flooding his mind. The shaft felt cool to the touch of his sweating palms. It was dark outside, with only the light from a waning moon casting shadows across the nearby house. He lifted the gun and aimed it at the bedroom window. The curtains were open, but he could see no movement inside. His finger gripped the trigger and he slowly pulled it, squinting through the sight at the midpoint of the window. The trigger clicked and Jed quietly mimicked a shot, imagining the effect of a loaded gun. The whiskey slid down his throat more easily now, relieving the pressure in his head and filling his mind with a false confidence. A box of cartridges lay open by his side. He lifted one out, slid it into the gun and clicked the barrel shut. Taking aim at the window again, he squeezed the trigger almost to the point of firing, relishing the thought of sweet revenge. He continued to stare down the gun sight at the dimly lit window, reveling in his fantasy. Suddenly he saw movement. They were in the bedroom, together, embracing. He felt sickness in the pit of his stomach, and a deep anger began to take hold. His head throbbed, and he felt warm tears trickling down his unshaven face. Staggering to his feet, he clutched the gun to his chest and impulsively kicked away the improvised barricade. Pulling open the door, he was engulfed by the cold, damp night. A light mist hovered over the ground, which separated the shed from the house. Jed made his way slowly to the back door. It had been left open as usual for him to come in after Alice and Jack had gone to bed. Inside the kitchen there was evidence of a meal, unwashed dishes and the remnants of a meat pie giving off an aroma which reminded him of happier times. A single candle illuminated the table, where hastily abandoned plates and cutlery still littered the surface. As he made his way into the hall, he began to experience a sense of nervous excitement. He was locked now into a course of action from which he could see no return. The stairs were in near darkness as he made his way slowly up. He knew every recess and bend. He had built them with his own hands. He could see light escaping from under Alice's door and thought he heard sounds. Now, standing outside the door, he felt totally rational. He had to show them that he couldn't be walked over. He wasn't always going to be the victim. He kicked the door open and lunged forward. There was a scream, a woman's voice. Alice leapt towards him, her arms outstretched. She was almost naked. He was struck momentarily by her beauty. Jed was spun roughly round. He found himself facing Jack as his body continued to spin towards the floor. Alice came into sight once more, her hands reaching for the barrel of the gun, her body brushing against Jed's face. The force of the gun being wrenched away caused Jed's finger to pull on the trigger. There was a blinding flash and a deafening roar, followed by screams. Jed couldn't tell who was screaming, perhaps it was him. As Jed spun further towards the floor, Jack again came into vision. His face was contorted. His fist was accelerating towards Jed's chin and made splintering contact, throwing him headlong onto the wooden floor. Only half conscious, Jed was aware of being pinned down. Alice was lying on top of him, her sweet scent invading his nightmare, her limbs entangled with his in a way he might only have dreamt of before. In a distant dream, snow fell from the sky and covered their bodies as they lay together. Alice and Jack were both gasping for air as they extricated themselves from the tangle of limbs and brushed away the white plaster that was still falling from the shot-ridden ceiling.